Well, obviously, there's a very horrible thing going on over in Iran and in Israel, and my heart goes out to the families. And I think we've now got enough evidence to prove that my truth uncle, Crazy DaveJ, when he says that war is a hoax, that he is wrong. And so this video is about presenting that evidence, analysing the evidence, and showing that, God love him, God bless him, Crazy DaveJ is wrong about war being a hoax.
That is, in fact, a lie.
Now, what do I mean when I say that Crazy DaveJ says that war is a hoax? Well, here is just a short section from what he said to myself and the people I mix with in an interview some years ago about war.
War is a hoax. And when I say war is a hoax, I mean, when I say war, that idea that popped into your head, that there's opposing armies facing each other and shooting each other and fighting and bayoneting to the death, that's a lie. That didn't happen. And if somebody comes up to me and says that they were doing it, I'm going to say that you are, in fact, a liar.
Okay, so this video is based on a short clip from that interview. I'll link to this video in the pinned comment below. I'll link to the full interview with Crazy DaveJ. This is from 2018, but I think it's just as relevant today as it was back then, and it will be into the future, because these stories about war are not going to stop, obviously. But what is my evidence that war is real and that Crazy DaveJ is wrong? Well, take a look at this. This is just a short section from a BBC News story from the last few hours. There was one section in particular that stood out to me. Let's take a look at this.
Let's hear more from BBC Verify's Merlin Thomas. As Iran and Israel continue launching strikes, satellite imagery can give us an insight into...
Now, first of all, you can see that the newsroom that she's in is mostly empty, but there's lots of computers, lots of desks, lots of chairs, lots of expert journalists, I'm sure, analysing all of the information. Now, she's talking about satellite footage, so let's continue.
What's happening on the ground. And it's particularly useful when looking at Iran, where it's incredibly difficult for BBC journalists to operate. Now, let's take a closer look. We've been examining satellite images of Israeli strikes.
Obviously, them doing that little 180 twirl around the newsroom was very important to set the stage for what's about to follow. So they're going to analyse some images from Iran. You can see the little red dots there. I'm sure this is all making a lot of sense so far.
Military infrastructure and nuclear facilities across Iran. These are some of the areas in Iran that we've been analysing.
You can see that right there, Iran. It says it right there. So even if your geography is not the best and you don't realise that this little area is Iran, well, it says it right there. So you know this is Iran, and those are the 4 red dots. Okay.
Now, this is an image from the 15th of June of a missile base in Bidkana, which has been hit. And you can see really clear damage from space in the roof of this building.
So the cameraman gets nice and in close there towards this screen of an image that shows a hole in the roof.
And elsewhere, we can see several areas of damage at the international airport in Tabriz.
Now just note Maxar there, Maxar. These images are coming to us from Maxar, okay.
Which is near a reported military base. Now we've compared images taken on the 13th and the 14th of June, and you can see this blackened area in the centre of the main runway here.
Well, that's an unmistakable black mark. She's quite right about that. There is a black mark in this image on a runway.
And you can see signs of damage to a taxiway at one end, 2 points here.
And as we look towards the north, we can see a high pressure system, which should bring with it a cool change and some relief from this stifling summer heat.
Where it meets the main runway. And have a look at this. This is Natanz. That's a nuclear site.
Well, it's a nuclear site. She just told you, nuclear site.
You can see damage here in an image on the 14th of June. Now, according to analysis...
And like she just said, you can see. She just told you what you can see. You can see damage at this nuclear site.
From the Institute for Space and International Security, this electrical substation here was damaged alongside the pilot fuel enrichment plant as well. Now, at BBC Verify, we're still examining more satellite imagery from elsewhere in the country, and we're speaking to experts who can help us understand more about what type of damage we're seeing, and they can tell us what type of targets have been hit too. Okay,
so this is BBC Verify. So this is like news on steroids. These are the news people who are analysing the news. It's Verify. Why would they call it Verify if this, like, they're chicken? Okay, you can take what they're saying, it's legitimate, all right? And just put all of this together. They did a little twirl around the newsroom that was mostly empty. Then they zoomed in on their screens and they said, look, you can see damage. They call themselves Verify. They're talking to experts. This all seems above board and legitimate to me. Now, this lady said that the images were coming from the Institute for Science and International Security. And if you look into these people, you find out they're funded by the US government, the United States Department of Energy, United States Institute of Peace, who themselves are funded by the government. I don't know why she didn't mention that. Maybe she was just short for time. And you don't have to trust Wikipedia. They even have a website. This Institute for Science and International Security, they have a website and it says the exact same thing. Funded by the Department of Energy. I mean, they're funded by a lot of people. A lot of either government departments or so-called NGOs who are funded themselves by the government, but you get the idea. So I think we can trust what we're being presented with here. Now, in terms of the satellite imagery, we just saw that from BBC Verify. I thought, is there something on their website? And the exact same story is on their website. Satellite imagery reveals damage to key Iran nuclear sites. This is actually from 2 days ago. Satellite imagery shared with BBC Verify has provided a clearer picture of damage inflicted on 2 of Iran's key nuclear sites as well as other military targets. Okay, and then they go through the exact same sites that we just saw from that video presentation. And they say that the newly released optical satellite imagery from Maxar, just as we saw here earlier. So if you go to Maxar's website, who are their clients? Apparently the US Army. On Maxar's About page, they say that they provide 90% of the foundational geospatial intelligence used by the US government for national security and keeping troops safe on the ground. So they might not be the US government directly, but indirectly that is where their money is coming from as well. And of course we're talking about BBC Verify. What's interesting is that in Australia, their broadcasting corporation, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, they've got the same story. Satellite images show the damage to Iran's nuclear and military facilities. Satellite imagery shows the huge damage which has been inflicted by Israel on military and nuclear facilities in Iran. The images from commercial satellite company Maxar help paint a clearer picture of what has happened on the ground. ABC News Verify has analysed the latest pictures. So in Australia, there's an ABC News Verify who have analysed the latest pictures. In England, it's the BBC who have analysed the latest images for BBC Verify. In Australia, ABC News Verify. In the UK, it's BBC Verify. Australia, ABC News Verify. In the UK, BBC Verify. And they're analysing images that come from organisations whose funding comes from the American government. So I think with all of this evidence compiled, we can say definitively that my truth uncle Crazy DaveJ is wrong.
That is in fact a lie.
What else did DaveJ have to say for himself when he appeared on that interview all those years ago?
You know you're a liar. You are a false witness to murder. However, if you say that you got hurt in a Jeep accident, or that you got, this, that, or the other thing, yeah, fine. So what? That can happen in any town, USA, or wherever else you're at, because you're dealing with a very large population of men who are moving, and mostly men, I should say, and moving around and doing a lot of dangerous work and living and breathing in outdoor environments, especially in the snow and everything else. So yeah, you're going to have frostbite and things like that. Again, that's not war. All right.
Right. What about the injuries that at least appear to be from explosive devices or from gunshot wounds? Not like construction.
Not that I've seen.
No.
Not that I've seen. You have. Well, when we used to throw grenades in the Philippines, we used to.
Anyway, so my truth uncle Crazy DaveJ, he was in the Navy, which makes it all the more amazing that he says that war is a hoax and nobody died, nobody got hurt.
Nobody died, nobody got hurt.
So what I recommend you do, if you're new to this channel, is you go and check out Navy Veteran Dismantles the War Veteran Hoax. It's from quite a few years ago. It has about 7,000 views. Or go and check out the original interview on which it was based. That's a 3-hour interview about a bunch of topics, including his war hoax theory. You can stream or download that one for free. Again, link in the pinned comment below. And let me know in the comments section, folks, what do you think? Have you been convinced by the images from BBC Verify and ABC Verify, which come from groups who are funded by the US government? Show quite clearly that this is all real. Did you find all of that convincing? I hope that you did. I've put a lot of time and effort into preparing all of this. If you enjoyed this presentation, you can let me know by leaving a comment or by supporting what I do here. I know some people want to send water or blankets. Just send your cash.
I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash.
Cold hard cash.
Dodo, stand up. You are no longer extinct. I need you to walk into that closet naked for 3 days.